When we think about cancer, the first thing that usually comes to mind is its crazy, uncontrolled growth. But what if that's not its most dangerous trick? What if the real problem, the thing that makes it so deadly, is its ability to achieve a kind of biological immortality?
So what if we could actually find the switch for that immortality and just, turn it off? Well, a really fascinating study tried to do exactly that. And the results, they're pretty incredible.
Okay, so to really get our heads around how cancer pulls this off, we first have to look at why our normal, healthy cells don't live forever. It all comes down to a built-in biological clock that every one of our cells has. Let's talk about something called telomeres. The best way to think about them is like those little plastic tips on your shoelaces, right? Just like those tips stop your laces from fraying and falling apart, telomeres protect all the crucial genetic data packed inside our chromosomes.
Now, here's the thing. For a normal cell, there's a countdown ticking away. Every single time that cell divides, those little telomere caps get a tiny bit shorter. And this happens over and over and over again, until they get so short that the cell basically gets a message saying, hey, time's up. And that's it. It stops dividing and enters this state of old age called senescence. It's a fundamental rule of life.
But this is where cancer cheats. It's where it completely breaks the rules. While our normal cells listen to that countdown, cancer cells figure out a way to stop their telomeres from shortening at all. They essentially just freeze their own biological clock, and that's how they achieve this dangerous, replicative immortality.
So if this ability to just bypass aging is cancer's greatest superpower, well then the very mechanism that lets it do that has to be its greatest weakness. It's got to be its Achilles heel. And it turns out, this isn't some rare trick that only a few cancers have figured out. Nope. This exact immortality mechanism is a core feature in about 90% of all human cancers. It's a shared playbook. The master culprit behind this whole operation is an enzyme called telomerase. Think of it as a dedicated repair crew that cancer cells hire to constantly rebuild their telomeres. And here's the absolute game changer. While telomerase is going full throttle in 90% of cancers, it's almost completely switched off in most of our healthy adult cells. That makes it a near-perfect target. This realization sparked this incredibly powerful idea. If you could create something that just shuts down telomerase, you could theoretically kill cancer cells without all the collateral damage you see with traditional therapies. It's the holy grail, right? Precision.
All right, but to hit a target that specific, you need a very, very precise weapon. You need something less like a bomb and a lot more like a guided missile, designed to take out telomerase and absolutely nothing else.
And they found that weapon. It's called siRNA, or small interfering RNA. The easiest way to picture it is as a piece of software code, a tiny genetic message. Its entire job is a search and silence mission. It's programmed to hunt down the one specific gene that makes telomerase and just switch it off.
So, the stage is set. The weapon is ready. Researchers took this genetic weapon and unleashed it on aggressive adenocarcinoma cells in the lab to see what would happen.
The results were, they were immediate, and they were stunning. In just 24 hours, the telomerase activity inside those cancer cells dropped by over 75%. By day 3, it was basically gone. They had successfully shut down the immortality engine. And with that telomerase repair crew totally fired, the inevitable started to happen. The cancer cells' biological clocks, which had been frozen for who knows how long, started ticking again. Every time they divided, their little protective telomeres started to wear away, just like a normal cell. And you could literally see the damage. There was clear physical proof. Before the treatment, you could see the telomeres protecting the chromosomes. But after, a staggering 60% of the chromosomes had lost their protective caps completely. The cancer's genetic shoelaces were fraying, big time. So as all this damage started piling up, a huge chunk of the cancer cells, about 41% of them, did exactly what normal cells do. They hit their limit, they entered senescence. They just got old, stopped dividing, and were effectively retired from the fight.
But it gets even crazier. For the rest of the cells, the genetic decay was so catastrophic that it triggered something called apoptosis. This is the cell's own built-in self-destruct sequence. A whopping 86% of the cancer cells were forced to literally destroy themselves from the inside out.
Okay, so the weapon totally worked on the cancer cells. We know that. But for this to be a real breakthrough, there's one more absolutely critical question. What did it do to the healthy cells right next door?
And this, right here, is the most beautiful part of the whole thing. While the treatment was absolutely devastating to the cancer cells, the healthy cells were completely fine, totally unharmed. Because they barely used telomerase in the first place, this genetic weapon just passed them by. It was a perfectly selective strike.
It really leaves you with a pretty profound thought. We often think about fighting cancer with these overwhelming, brute force approaches. But maybe, just maybe, the future lies in finding a single, critical vulnerability like this one, and using a precisely targeted weapon to simply switch the cancer off.